Assassin Hecarim, an invisible one-shotting horse. Unlike normal Hecarim, who is usually a tanky frontliner, this build gives Hecarim a ton of DPS with his Q, with a big damage ult to jump on a carry and kill them while they're still feared, and even an invisible item that gives you time to reposition, so you can really 1 versus 5. If you want free LP and to get pentakills, then this is a perfect build for it. Even when you're not fed, it looks like you are. This Challenger Hecarim has invented a super easy set game plan. Just build the right items, and then 1 versus 9 late game. This pick is so incredibly good, and that's why it works in every rank, from Iron to Challenger. But first, this video is sponsored by Porofessor, a League of Legends companion app. I'm a huge fan of it, and so are a lot of the high elo players we interview. Right away in queue while you're waiting for a game, it shows you the meta overview, all the things you've missed since you last played to easily catch you up. Then when you get in Champ Select, Porofessor automatically imports the best runes from Master Plus players. You know they'll always be correct, and it's so nice to just ignore the boring parts of League and let Porofessor do the work for you, also importing all of the best builds right into your in-game shop so you don't have to tab out. And this includes off-meta roles, so you can really just chill out and play games. Or if you're really trying to climb and try hard, Porofessor can help you with that as well. In loading screen, Porofessor scouts your opponents to give you information about their strengths and weaknesses, also having summoner spell timers in the UI, so you can click and time an enemy flash, and then easily kill them since you know they can't escape. This feature syncs with the over 8 million other Porofessor users so your teammates can finally help you. This is all on top of all the other time-saving and helpful features Porofessor has. Download it right now from the link in the description, and with just a couple of clicks you can immediately start winning more games. Back to Hecarim and our player. Meet Dantes. He first started playing League in Season 4 at age 12, but not because he wanted to try the game. Instead, he actually got banned on a Minecraft server, and to try and get an unban, he was challenged by the admin to a League of Legends 1 versus 1. As a new player against an experienced one, he got demolished. But even without his Minecraft server to go back to, he now had a new game to play. He hit level 30 as fast as possible, started ranked, and right away dropped to Bronze 5, 0 LP. It was not a good start. Season 5, testing new champions. It was actually then when he discovered Hecarim as one of his favourites, all of those years ago. However, his climb didn't go much better, and funnily he even told me that he sent Riot a ticket, begging them to extend the length of the season, so that he would have more time to get to gold. Unsurprisingly, this attempt was unsuccessful, so with the new season starting in Season 6, Dantes picked up Hecarim properly, and then made it to gold, powering through even to platinum by the end of the year. He practiced this one pick with one style and it paid off. Over the next couple of years, not much progress was made. Dantes hit diamond, but Hecarim as a champion started to struggle in the meta. But by Season 9, Dantes had an inspiration. A player named Be Nice to Each Other hit rank 1 Challenger with a full Assassin Hecarim build. He couldn't believe it was possible. In a meta where Hecarim's bruiser builds were awful, and all of his counters were really good, someone had found a new full damage build, and it was actually working even in the top of Challenger. Dantes kept grinding, getting Master this year, and then finally hitting Challenger in Season 11. But why is he playing Assassin Hecarim? First off, Hecarim as a champion is thought by many people to be an elo inflator, meaning anyone who might not be quite good enough to climb, if they pick Hecarim they'll probably be able to climb anyway. However, Assassin Hecarim is completely different. The risk is much higher, as he no longer has any resistances to keep him safe. So if you make mistakes, you are punished for them, but in exchange he's rewarded with much higher damage, and the ability to one-shot people with it. This pick works mainly because of Hecarim's ult, the unstoppable long-range dash, which allows him to instantly access the enemy backline, no matter what. This ability means that as long as you buy enough damage, you can insta-kill any squishy champion, then use the Duskblade invisibility to reposition, and this will give you time to set up kills on the whole enemy team. This is Hecarim's only true dash, so usually the best way to counter Hecarim is to kite him, but with this high damage build and phase rush, you're not escaping Assassin Hecarim. With a very simple game plan, Dantes is able to farm up, quickly reaching this high damage power spike, and becoming this mid to late game hyper carry, bursting backliners, going invisible and refusing to die, then running around the enemy team spamming Q until they're all dead, truly reaching an unstoppable late game. And this build is now even better thanks to a change Riot made in patch 12.17, which was actually suggested to the developers by Dantes, in an attempt attempt to make Hecarim a bit harder, the AD ratio on Hecarim's Q was buffed, in exchange for removing some of his base armor and magic resist. This set up a much more interesting playstyle, where Hecarim can't just turn his brain off and run in, but instead you now have to prepare Q stacks before you fight, using a camp or a minion wave. This buffs your Q damage by 40%, and lowers the cooldown to 1 second or even lower, and this fast AoE damage is how you can kill a whole enemy team. This build gets interesting at 2 items, Duskblade and Manamune fully stacked. This is where the build kicks in, so let's quickly see how he's able to get there so fast, and then we can show how satisfying the build is. The jungle clear, super simple, it's a full clear from topside. He does this every game, in this order depending on the side, but always going towards bot lane, as he believes it's the most important lane to gank. In fact, even after his first full clear, he often looks for a level 4 bot lane gank using Ghost, activating it, then using E to speed behind the enemy and knock them into his teammates to set up a kill. He doesn't really focus on ganking at all, instead he checks his minimap. Dantes plays with jungle timers, just like the ones in Porofessor. Having this app is super important as it lets him see exactly when his camp is going to respawn, so he can plan to base in time and get back just as the camps are respawning to start his second full clear. This cycling through camps is how he quickly outfarms the enemy jungler. He knows exactly where to be at the exact second, not wasting any time thanks to Porofessor, collecting gold and XP, hitting level 6 much faster. He now starts to build up items and stack his tier, even taking Ingenious Hunter to stack it faster. His first bit of damage is Serrated Dirk, so at level 6 the damage is pretty good for ganks. He's a super patient Hecarim player, only using ult if it's really required. He can get kills with just the E push, and save ult for if the enemy flashes away, still being able to use it to get the kill and getting their summoner spell. He now starts to pick up items very quickly, because this build is super cheap compared to a normal Hecarim build. You get it much faster and come online a lot sooner. With Duskblade, the fun begins. This item on Hecarim actually enables a very patient playstyle. He can start off the fight super fast, using ultimate to dive right onto someone, using his damage to pop them, and then go invisible to have time to choose his next option. The combination of high damage, high movement speed, and invisibility means that Hecarim is able to cover a lot of distance while he can't be seen. He can run to a new target, or even run away from danger, so the risk of the build goes down a lot once you get that first kill. With Manamune stacked, Hecarim's damage goes up again, also looking for an item like Ravenous Hydra or Spear of Sojin to turn him into a DPS monster. This is where his Q stacking strategy really helps. Every time he ganks or starts a fight, he's always stacking his Q first. His damage is already off the charts, and then he increases it by 40%. His goal is to get these stacks to buff up his damage, and then look for a flanking ultimate, blowing one enemy up, going invisible, and causing carnage in the middle of the enemy team. They can't see the full damage horse anywhere, and are forced to split up and run. But of course with Phase Rush, Hecarim can chase them down one by one, and finish them off with his high damage Q. The later the game goes, your damage only increases. He uses gold so efficiently, so if this champion is on your team, you should never really be surrendering. There's always a way to come back, because your damage is nuts, and you're very hard to kill thanks to the invisibility and the healing on your W. Here are some challenger tips for this build, including a way to instantly proc Phase Rush with no risk. Using W, Q, and Smite, you can keep speeding up with your E and run around the enemy, but you don't have to risk going in. Enemies might waste their dashes or summoner spells, but you're still fast enough to reach them. Or this trick, using an E on one enemy, and then ulting the real carry. This extends your ultimate range, and tricks your target into thinking you're engaging on someone else, leaving them open to a surprise ult. And finally, a way to guarantee you'll always hit your ult. With Hecarim's E, if you hit an enemy, it also knocks them back. So if you quickly ult while this push is going off, it becomes an undodgeable ult as the enemy is CC'd, setting up the fear and the damage. So Hecarim doesn't need teammates, you can combo off your own CC. The off-meta rating for this build couldn't be simpler. It's very similar to Crit Olaf. Super simple to pick up, some of the highest DPS in the whole game, which is also AoE damage, so your potential in teamfights is unlimited, and an easy plug-and-play game plan to make it work. Pick this and get LP, it's that simple. The full assassin build starts with Blue Pet, of course, for the speed up, buying Ionian Boots early on for cooldown reduction, as this makes your DPS higher, as it reduces your Q cooldown, and enables you to get more ultimates off to make more plays. Buying the core items, and then you have a couple of options. These are the the standard items to make you a 1 vs 9 carry, or you can buy more lethality if you're against a ton of squishy enemies, as this will let you pop people easier, and finally some resistances to go with your damage if you really need it. There are 2 rune pages, but the Phase Rush one is probably the best for this full damage build. If you're going more bruiser, then you can take this Conqueror page instead. Ban Udyr if you're picking this, as he can beat your 1 vs 1 damage. And most importantly, don't forget to download Porofessor for the camp timers, link below. It's great for playing Hecarim so you can see your camp timers, but also great for playing against any jungler, as it can help you track them. And thanks again to Dantes for helping with this video. He streams a ton, and the link to his Twitch and YouTube is in the description. Thanks so much for watching.